Your Steve Jones Show podcast will start shortly. The Steve Jones Show podcast is sponsored by Brewers Outlet, your beverage supermarket on Reagan Street in Sunbury. This is the Steve Jones Show on News Radio 1070 WKOK, sponsored by Brewers Outlet. Now from the Sunbury Motors Studio, here's Steve Jones.
Today's show brought to you by Brewers Outlet, Reagan Street in Sunbury, the beverage supermarket. Imports, domestics, microbrews. Stock up for the big weekend now. Championship games, NFL, you name it. Wine coolers, water, soft drinks, snacks. They roast their peanuts fresh and out every day. 6 great flavors of slushies. Pickle bar led by the barrels and the dills. Indeed, second to none. All at Brewers Outlet, Reagan Street in Sunbury, the beverage supermarket. And this is December 1. Hanukkah is on the horizon. Christmas is on the horizon. How about a Brewers Outlet gift card? You may be getting to the point where you feel like you're stuck on ideas. Well, okay, I understand that. Everybody gets stuck on those ideas. Completely understand that. Well, a Brewers Outlet gift card could be just the ticket you need to give the gift to somebody. Just say, look, hey, you're in my circle, I care. And we're in the Sunbury Motors studio. Sunbury Motors, 4th Street in Sunbury. Sunbury Motors Kia, routes 11 and 15 in Hummel's Wharf, and online at sunburymotors.com. Zach Showers coming up in just a few minutes. We'll talk to him about Selinsgrove and their state semifinal playoff game. And then we will talk to the king in the final half hour, do some predictions. So, and one quick note, you always have to designate who your 10 coaches are. As I mentioned, Andy is going to be in an observation role in all likelihood. I doubt he's going to coach Kansas in the bowl game. And that would put him in an observation role, get to know the personnel, get to understand how everything works here. When it comes to recruiting, believe it or not, Danny O'Brien was sent out on the road as the 10th coach. Now, he's a GA. He'll go back to being, he's going to stay as the GA. But they can designate him to do that. And you go from there. Because Rob Smith was the designated 10th coach for the last 2 games of the season. So now they have Andy Koltonicki set. And now it's a question of what you can do with to do everything you can to keep Manny Diaz, who is, everybody knows, has been so important. Cowboys won last night. That was really a fun game last night. Seattle played really well. Man, the kid with the 5 interception returns for touchdowns. Hey, well, they attacked him all night. He couldn't cover the suit. No, wait a minute. Caleb, you could cover the suit. It's actually a long list of people who could cover the suit. Don't you think so? Yeah. By the way, very happy for my good friend Corey Provis, who's one of the really great guys out there. He is going to go from the Minnesota Twins radio to their TV broadcaster. Good for him. talk to him next time I see him, which will be within the next month or so. And the Eagles will play Sunday, 4:25. They've really cleared everything out when they play San Francisco. Should be a terrific game. And that's one of the reasons why I want you to go to Brewers Outlet now and stock up, because I know tonight I am locked in tonight. I already have the Bucknell games all prepared. The only thing I have to do is the pregame show. I'm going to try and do that with Mike this afternoon. And then I'm going to watch Washington and Oregon tonight. Cannot wait. And then when the Penn State Bucknell game is over tomorrow, I'm locked in on Georgia, Alabama. The night games, there's nothing about the night games that intrigue me. I mean, maybe I'll watch some of Florida State, Louisville. We'll see. Maybe. But those are the two games I'm looking at. Because Michigan and Iowa, I may flip over just to see, like, oh, okay. Michigan scored a touchdown. Looks like they got enough now. And that's it. Then on Sunday, it's all about Eagles and 49ers. Yeah, it's going to be a terrific game. Really looking forward to that. And I know Eagles fans, here we go. They're looking forward to it. The Eagles have been a lot of fun. They're 10-1. They have the best record, everything. And I know people get like, oh, come on. You've said a couple things you shouldn't have. No, I'm sorry, but. But I'll stand by it. Based on what I've seen in level of play, they're an 8-3 team that's 10-1. And they've been helped out tremendously by a lot of questionable calls. Pass interference play against the Dolphins, the fumble last week. Like, jeez, okay. I mean, I know you get breaks during the course of the year, but man, they sure do get an inordinate amount of them. There's also a story being circulated right now that is whether the Big Ten, when they get to the Big Ten tournament, whether they'll bring all 18 teams or not when they go to it next year. They said momentum is growing for the Big Ten to have only 14 or 15 teams participate with the bottom three out, according to John Rothstein. See, I think in the end they're going to bring all 18. Because I think then the reason is, I mean, even though in baseball they don't do that, the reason is in basketball they've always done it. We'll take a break. Zach in a moment on Sealands Grove Football here on News Radio 1070 WKOK, brought to you by Brewers Outlet. Okay, let's get to it. Do we have Zach on the line yet, Caleb? Yes, no, maybe. Yes, no, maybe. Maybe he's trying to call him right now. Or maybe he's calling in. But yeah, Sealands Grove's playing tonight, so that's what I was told we had today. So
Steve, Sean hasn't called in yet. Or Zach.
Zach, okay. Okay, appreciate that. Well, when he does, we'll get him right in and we'll talk about the playoff game coming up. So, very interesting. The bowls, of course, will come out as well. One thing about Andy Koltonicki, one thing I want you to watch for, and this is something that James Franklin brought up in a press conference, I don't know, a couple weeks ago. It was a post-practice press conference, and he was talking about what he's looking for in an offensive coordinator. He says it's not just the overall numbers and metrics you're looking at. How did the overall numbers and metrics play out against your biggest opponents? So in other words, how did Kansas offensively perform against Texas? How did Kansas perform offensively against Oklahoma? And especially a year ago, how did Kansas perform offensively against TCU? And you look at last year, I can't remember the Oklahoma game with Kansas. But I remember last year they beat Texas 57-56. And even though they lost to TCU last year, that Kansas offense racked up 31 points in that game against TCU. So when they got to games against their better opponents, the Kansas offense hummed along, played, created problems for the better teams on their schedule. It's one thing to sit there and say, okay, well, how well did they perform against 3-9 Baylor? Okay. You're going to rack up some numbers. There's no question about that. How'd you perform against a couple of non-conference games? And I did point out Illinois as one I watched as a non-conference game. That was a good non-conference opponent for them to play. But when you look at how they played against Texas, Oklahoma, and TCU, especially the last 2 years, those defenses, which are all for the most part good defenses, I mean, they have their moments where they struggle. But TCU's defense, 2022, Texas last year, this year, Oklahoma last year, this year, Kansas moved the ball and scored points. And that to me tells me a lot, that when you get into games against your top people, how did you perform? I mean, this year, for example, beat Oklahoma 38-33. Right? Beat Oklahoma this year 38-33. Now, TCU is not the same TCU as last year, so let's not pretend here. Last year in overtime beat Texas 57-56. Team that had more trouble was Kansas State more than anybody else. And then you look at what one year was 38-33 Kansas. This year was 39-32 Oklahoma State. Let's see. Illinois 34-23. I was impressed with that. Liberty Bowl, they played Arkansas. They rank up 53 points in that game. They rang up some points with this group. And that's impressive. Last year, TCU only beat them by 3. In 22, they scored 42 points against Oklahoma. Didn't win the game, but still scored 42. Yikes. So against the better opponents, they rank up points. And their finale was against Cincinnati this year. They rank up 49. 51 against UCF. 38 against BYU. 34 against Illinois. 53 against Arkansas. Not bad. That's why, you're looking at what a guy can do when they get into, okay, here is a top flight team. can you still do some of the things you want offensively against a top-flight team? Kansas was able, for the most part, to do it. And again, it would have been even better if Jalen Daniels had somehow stayed healthy the entire year. He only played 3 games the entire season. And by the way, it looks like Kansas is they're in line to play in a bowl game somewhere. Yeah, they are, let's see. Action Network has them in the guaranteed rate bowl. I think that's in Phoenix against Maryland. The Lockheed Martin Armed Forces game with Wyoming. ESPN says that. Guaranteed rate bowl, Northwestern by USA Today. Guaranteed rate bowl with Maryland by The Athletic. So 3 of the 4 have them in the game in Phoenix against a Big Ten team. So that's where they are. Now, last year they went to the Liberty Bowl. Is guaranteed rate lower in the pecking order? Yes. But they went to the Liberty Bowl last year, and they don't want to take you 2 years in a row. And that does enter into it. They're trying to keep it so you're not going to the same destination all the time. And we'll find that out about 2:30 on Sunday, right around that area. So, where the heck is the Pop-Tarts Bowl? Is that in Orlando? Pop-Tarts Bowl. I gotta look that up. Pop-Tarts Bowl 2023 date. Yeah, that's got to be Orlando. Yep, Camping World Stadium. All right, I think it's the old Cheez-It Bowl, right? Okay, try this on for size. Evidently, now you have Oklahoma State is going to be playing Texas for the Big 12 championship. Who does this? I mean, listen to this story. Police say a dead longhorn cow was found on the lawn of an Oklahoma State fraternity today, the day before the Cowboys were to play Texas in the Big 12 championship game. Police notified at 6:30 this morning of the dead animal on the lawn of Farmhouse Fraternity in Stillwater. The carcass had an expletive carved into its side, and the stomach was cut open. Ew. It's a very cruel crime to be committed, especially right before the Big 12 championship game, said the police official. Nothing is worth doing that kind of crap. That's his quote. Oklahoma State said in a statement that it is appalled at the disturbing display of animal cruelty at an off-campus location near a fraternity house. The university said both Stillwater Police and the university's Office of Student Support and Conduct are investigating, and that appropriate action will be taken based on the outcome of the investigation. The guilty party could face an animal cruelty charge, which is a felony. Well, geez, I would hope so. This is disgusting. A representative for the fraternity, which was founded in 1905 by ag students, told the student newspaper that it was leaving the matter in the hands of police. Ay. What sick individual does that? Animals just going along, minding its own business, and you do that? Come on, that's disgusting. Ugh. This will be really cool. No, you're not really cool. You're actually a felon. Disgusting. So I'm watching the Cowboys, Seahawks, and at one point they had to promote next week's game, Steelers and Patriots. So on one side, they always show a player. Like last night, for example, it was Dak Prescott and the other one was Geno Smith in the promos. Okay. So for the Steelers-Patriots, they have T.J. Watt. Makes total sense. And Bill Belichick. They couldn't find a Patriots player they could put up there. That's how tough it's become in Foxborough. Yikes. All right, King next half hour. Sorry we couldn't get Zach on today to preview the game. Maybe he'll call in the next half hour. We'll see. But the King is on the next half hour with predictions. Great to have you with us today. Brought to you by Brewers Outlet, Reagan Street in Sunbury, the beverage supermarket. Don't forget about Brewers Outlet gift cards. All right, great to have you back on the show today. Brought to you by our good friends at Brewers Outlet, Reagan Street in Sunbury, the beverage supermarket. Imports, domestics, microbrews, the best selection of beer anywhere. Wine coolers, water, soft drinks, snacks. They roast their peanuts fresh and hot every day. Pickle bar led by the barrels and the dills, indeed second to none. And Brewers Outlet gift cards. Ooh, it's that time of the year. It's my favorite time of the year. Holidays. What makes it my favorite time of the year? Well, obviously family, friends, get-togethers, decorating. And it's also the time of the year where I'm doing both football and basketball at the same time. It really is my favorite time of the year. I just went through November. I did 10 games in 22 days, and 6 of them were basketball and 4 were football. And now I'm going to hit this month. And in this month, what do I have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Scheduled for 6 basketball games. I think there's a good chance it's going to be 5 and a football game. So, favorite time of the year. I love this. I do. I really do. Nothing like it. Get the holidays to go with football and basketball at the same time. Now that's, I'm sorry, for me that's the life. I enjoy it. I do. I really do. It's like somebody has hauled the travel back and forth last week. It didn't bother me in the least. I mean, seriously. I mean, not in the least. I've had a couple of people, I mean, what about all that? Well, didn't bother me. I was all good with it. Now, it does help when it goes smoothly. And it did. So that was one of the keys. It did go smoothly. So that helped. It went smoothly. It's all good. Oh, goodness gracious. Literally, I got to the gate Thanksgiving Day. The gate was going to close at 3:25. I think I got to the gate like 3:05, 3:10. They were already boarding. But, no. In fact, I went there and sat down for a while. All right, for like 5 minutes or so, just like, and then boarded. Easy. Next day, Detroit, Easy. Went through secure. They were really weird in Detroit about security, though, only because they kept telling you, like, well, go to this line. No, you need to go that one. No, you got. The third one I finally went to, and they said, "Am I in the right spot?" Finally, they said yes. Good. That part was strange. But other than that, like I said, my favorite time of the year. I love this. I believe on my line, let me just set this thing up here such a way. I go here. Let's see, do that. And do we have the king?
True.
It is the king.
How are you?
There you are. Gotcha.
Good.
All right. Had a little phone problem on one end, so we're all set on this end.
Yeah, it was all busy. Are we on the air now?
Yeah, we're on the air now.
You're a legend.
I am? Oh, no, that. Oh, yeah.
A legend, Steve Jones.
Yeah.
That was really cool. I enjoyed that.
Oh, I'm glad. I'm glad you enjoyed it.
Yeah, you did a good job.
I appreciate it.
You're very well spoken.
Maybe I should do this professionally.
I'd have stumbled all over the thing. I started giggling and whatever.
Oh, goodness gracious. Well, it was fun. Harry's great, by the way. He's a no ego, just not, real pro's pro, accomplished everything.
He's been doing it a long time.
Yeah.
I mean,
But he's
he gets to pick his things. How did he know that? How did he know that there was he had to know there was a story before he got there.
Yeah, he called me about maybe a week, 10 days before. I think it was about 10 days before he called me up. And we talked on the phone for about a half an hour.
So did he know about it before he talked to you?
He knew about the fact that there's the cheer and that there was a story behind it. And he wanted to know what the story was behind it.
Oh.
So I gave him the story behind it. This is in the background.
Mm-hmm.
So I gave him the story behind it, and then I talked to him about the fact of it and the myth of it. And I said they're both fascinating because, of course, the myth has always been that it came from Penn State in 1948 or 1947, playing in the 48 Cotton Bowl on New Year's. So in the 1947 season. But, there's got to be a reason why it really essentially lays dormant for nearly 30 years. I mean, it lays dormant for 28 years.
Right.
Well, what's the reason behind the fact that it lays dormant? Now, the linkage between the two, in the end, is tremendous because let's give young people credit. And, the original in 1946, when Penn State as players elect not to play Miami and cancel the game because they won't let Wally Triplett or Denny Hogarth travel. Let's face it, this is post-World War II, and it's 8 months before Jackie Robinson plays for the Brooklyn Dodgers. That's an enlightened statement by young people in 1946. And that's, I think that says something about them and the quality of men at the time. And Bob Higgins, the coach, backed them up. And then when it came to the Cotton Bowl part, well, they said, hey, look, we've already gone through this once.
Now, that guy, Suey, was that Matt Suey's father?
That's Matt Suey's father, yes.
Okay. Matt
Suey's father. And the Sueys, of course, lived here in State College.
Okay, do the students today realize what it means?
I would say for the most part, no. I think for the most part, no. Now, the part about the reality of it and how the cheerleaders came up with it, they definitely don't know about that part. There'd be some vague connection with Wally Triplett in some way, but how the cheerleaders themselves came up with it in 1975 for the 76 season, no. I would
you
say.
Think Franklin knows about it?
Well, he does now. Now, Wally Triplett, he knew all about. Because Wally Triplett and his wife, this one obvious, Wally passed away, I want to say Wally passed away 4 or 5 years ago.
Really?
Right? Wally came to practice, I want to say in 2015. And it turned out because he's standing on the sideline at practice, he can't sit there and talk to the players. You know, he's there with his wife. They're watching. So I was there with him, and I probably spent, I don't know, an hour and a half with him. And he loved it, the whole thing. And then when it was done, James, of course, because James won, he brought Wally up in front of the team and gave him this great introduction about what he meant and continues to mean to Penn State. He talked about 40-16, the 40-17. James talked about, going to the NFL, playing with the Detroit Lions. All the barriers he broke. He was the first African American to ever be drafted in the NFL as an African American and play. Right? First one to ever do it. Right? Fought, was in the Korean War. And when it was over with, the players, one by one, came up to him and said, "Thank you, thank you, thank you." And the one above all that spent the most time with him was Nick Scott.
Okay.
Nick had the interception in the Super Bowl when the Rams beat the Bengals. Now he plays for the Bengals.
Yep.
And Nick's about as thoughtful a person you'd ever want to be around. He spent a lot of time with him afterward. And to see young people gravitate towards somebody older.
That don't happen much anymore.
No. I mean,
trust me.
Right. To see that, I mean, I stood there, and his wife was so, right, taken by all this. So then the State College Spikes, a year ago, did a Wally Triplett bobblehead. And his granddaughter came to the game. And she was so appreciative that everybody there remembered her grandfather.
Right.
And so I told her the story about the day he was with the team. I mean, it's one of the privileges of being there that you get to see stuff like that. And it was remarkable to see. And how much the players treasured him.
See, you're lucky to be able to see humble things like that, because in everyday life, there's no humbling stuff like that at all. I don't see it here. I don't see it anywhere. I see people running people off the road, and I think it's great that you get to see humbling things. So,
yeah, no question. I think it means, it meant a lot for me to sit there and see it.
I mean, I see it in the Hallmark movies and stuff, but
Yeah.
that's about it.
But I mean, this was just one of those moments I'll never forget it. And I was talking to him, and like the part, for example, where they didn't say with the Miami game, we are Penn State, we're not going to go. They didn't say that. They said we all play or none. He's the one that told me that. Okay?
Yep.
Right?
My wife's trying to call me here.
Oh.
Keep going. I'm hanging up.
Right? It was then the year after when Steve Suey said, hey, there's no need for a vote. We are Penn State. So they're not going to stay downtown. They're going to go stay at the naval base.
Right.
In other words, we're all. But it's interesting that Denny Hogard, and I looked up a story on it, when the game was over with SMU and ended in a 13-13 tie, they actually had a dinner for both teams.
Yeah.
And he said, he's prejudice? He said, because SMU is an all-white team. He says, prejudice? He goes, no. He says, we sat there at the same table. We're all talking about all the classes we're taking. He said, it was just students talking to students. Yeah. Huh. Hey, we have picks to make, including an SMU game. We'll do that in a moment here on News Radio.
I'm stomping your butt. I'm telling you. You may be a legend, but I'm stomping you.
We'll come back with more in a moment and find out how badly I'm getting stomped here on News Radio 1070 WKOK.
I really don't have a clue of who I'm picking.
And I broadcast college football I watch tape.
So, I mean, you know, you take chances. I mean, UConn, UMass, you lost that one.
Oh, bummer.
Yeah, who cares? I mean, two crap.
I didn't even know.
Beat the crap out of each other.
I didn't even know till now that I lost it. All right, so let's get to it. We only got a few minutes here. So what do we got?
Oh, okay, that's me. See, this is why you're a legend and I'm not.
Oh,
okay.
yeah. I'm
Here we
blah,
go.
blah, blah, blah.
Okay, we'll start with the NFL. Detroit Lions at New Orleans Saints.
I will go with Detroit. I think New Orleans is pretty good, but I'll go with Detroit.
Yeah, Detroit shocked me Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
They cost me $145. Denver at Houston.
Love how Denver's playing. Houston's playing great, too. You know what? I'm going to go with the Texans.
Okay, I'm taking Denver. Houston disappointed me last week.
Yeah.
They couldn't get over the hump.
Yeah.
That guy can coach.
Yeah, he can.
Yeah, Denver has turned the corner.
But so can D'Amico Ryans. He's a good coach for Houston.
Yeah. San Francisco 49ers at the Philadelphia Eagles.
Well, the Eagles are 10-1. I've been saying all week I think they're an 8-3 team that's a 10-1 team because I've been able to get some calls. I'm going to go with San Francisco.
Every time I go again, the Eagles are finding ways to win.
I know.
And it's not lucky. You know, I'm taking Philly. It's not lucky.
They're good.
Yeah, they're real good.
They're good.
Don't that they play a 40-minute game, and that's the difference between them and everyone else.
Yeah.
Kansas City at Green Bay.
Kansas City.
Are you sure?
Yes.
Did you see what Green Bay did to Detroit was bizarre.
I know.
This is the one game I'm not sure about. So I'm going to take Green Bay.
Okay, good.
At home. Because if Love plays like that every week, and he's gotten better each week, they're going to be hard to beat.
Yep.
So I'm going to take a shot and go for Green Bay.
There you go.
NCAA, number 19, Oklahoma State, at number 7, Texas.
That is in Arlington, and it'll be Texas.
I concur. Texas. Number 25, SMU, at number 17, Tulane.
I was going to pick SMU, but their quarterback broke his leg against Navy last week. Their starter, who's really good, they have to go with the backup, so I'm going to pick Tulane.
Yeah, I was going to take SMU too, but their quarterback got hurt last week. I didn't know their quarterback got hurt.
Yeah.
I'm taking Tulane anyway because they're ranked 17 and SMU's ranked 25.
Yeah.
Okay. Number 5, Oregon, at number 3, Washington. What a game.
In Las Vegas, should it be a great game tonight, I am going to pick Oregon to win.
Eeny, meeny, miny, mo, pick a team by the toe. If an hour, let them go. Out goes Y-O-U. I got Washington.
There you go.
Yep,
great
it works
pick.
sometimes. Why not?
Great pick.
Washington has not disappointed. Oregon has not. They're both great teams.
Yep.
But they have got to go to an 8-team playoff because now...
Well, they're going to go 12 next year, so...
Well, they better hurry up because this is crazy. They got a big problem if things go kind of a little bit haywire this week.
Yep.
Who do they put in the Final Four?
Yep.
So, number 1, Georgia, at the number 8, Alabama.
That is in the Georgia Dome, and this is where I'm going to predict haywire, Alabama.
I concur. I think Alabama will win this game.
Yeah.
And if they do, what a problem they have. So, okay, number 15, Louisville, at number 4, Florida State.
Yeah, I'm going to go with Florida State to win that game, even though they're going to play with their backup quarterback.
So if Florida State wins, I'm not an expert on this, Washington wins. Who else is undefeated?
Georgia. Michigan.
Well, yeah. I'm saying if Washington and Florida State win, they're in.
Yep.
If Georgia loses, Michigan will not lose.
Right.
There's one spot that's wide open.
Yeah.
So
Texas.
anyway, you took Florida State.
It would be Texas because they beat Alabama at Alabama.
I'm taking Louisville.
Good. Take Louisville.
Yeah, they're a good team. Florida State has not played a tough schedule, so to me, this will be the toughest team Florida State's played all year. We'll see what they can do. Why not?
Yeah.
So, and Louisville's good. Put a whooping on Notre Dame.
Yep. So there you go. There you go. We'll find out if I can somehow recover after getting my backside whipped. Again. You're enjoying the resurgence.
Well, unfortunately, I had to cancel the first half of the season. Never took place. Would take me 2 years to catch up.
It's okay. You caught up now.
Yeah. Okay.
Have a great weekend.
Yeah, you too. Happy whatever day, the legend.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. All right. Bye.
You're listening to News Radio 1070 WKOK Sunbury. You can hear us anywhere in the world with the Sunbury Broadcasting Corporation app.